The city we knew we're about to lose. And we're all in this together. All of us. Staten Island is saying, send them out to Manhattan. Manhattan is saying, send them out to Queens. Queens is saying, send them out to Brooklyn. No. It's not the game we can play. Open the floor up.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Luckily for you and me, I was able to come out and put out a video today. I might only be able to actually do one because I have other things I also have to do today. But luckily, my biggest thing is out of the way. So I'll try to be doing at least one video, if not two. So stand by. Anywho, it seems that the Biden administration is really just trying to really solidify itself into its downward spiral. Now, we have a lot of things that are happening here in the U.S. that's pertaining to, you know, the migrant situation, to where Chicago, New Yorkers, and even possibly the great old California, which Gavin Newsom just sent some federal agents down there to deal with the, you know, fentanyl crisis, because, you know, all the illegal immigrants and people and villains are coming from, you know, those areas that's putting fentanyl into our stuff. Well, that's what's happening now, and as you can see from the video that I put there in there for you guys before this opening strata, we have this as well. The Biden administration pushes Remain in Texas policy for migrants, forces state to open borders. The Biden administration is considering keeping undocumented migrant families near the Texas border during their asylum screening, restricting their travel within the U.S., and according to U.S. officials who spoke to the LA Times. The Biden Remain in Texas policy would hinder migrant families crossing the southern border from coming further into the United States. The number of families crossing the southern border reportedly reached a record high last month. Since 2022, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, a Republican, has transported thousands of migrants out of the state to cities controlled by Democrats, such as LA, New York, and Washington, D.C. Mayors in Democrat-run cities across the country, particularly New York City Mayor Eric Adams, have bridled at the Texas governor's migration tactic to pressure blue states to develop sensible border policies. Adams recently decried the Chinese migration tactic, also utilized by Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, as destroying New York City despite the city's purported sanctuary city status. Now, obviously, this is a huge deal, right? Like, essentially, what Biden is saying to all the Texans that, to the Texans that are probably watching my YouTube channel, I feel sorry for you guys in particular. But what they're saying here, to you Texans people, to the Texans, is that, like, oh, you deal with the migrants, keep with all the fentanyl, the grape, and all this other crazy stuff that's happening down there. Let the migrants go into your fields and cause you guys harm, and have your state be overflooded with illegal migrants, which, by the way, we caused because, you know, we don't want them in our other states. That's absolutely disgusting in every sense of way imaginable. The fact of the matter is that the fact that he is doing this is disgusting. And what we're going to do here is show a video of Eric Adams pretty much saying that the migrants, illegal migrants, mind you, illegal migrants are destroying our city, and everyone's going to be impacted. Well, aren't you a sanctuary city? Isn't Chicago a sanctuary city? Isn't California a sanctuary city? So why are you so against this? You should allow them come in. Honestly, Governor Abbott is sending these migrants where these cities, these people want these illegal migrants. They want them there, right? So why are you so far against it right now? It's really odd. Take a look at this clip.
Something, New Yorkers. Never in my life have I had a problem that I did not see an ending to. I don't see an ending to this. I don't see an ending to this. This issue will destroy New York City. Destroy New York City. We're getting 10,000 migrants a month. One time we were just getting Venezuela. Now we're getting Ecuador. Now we're getting Russian speaking coming through Mexico. Now we're getting Western Africa. Now we're getting people from all over the globe have made their minds up that they're going to come through the southern part of the border and come into New York City. And everyone is saying it's New York City's problem. Every community in this city is going to be impacted. We had a $12 billion deficit that we're going to have to cut. Every service in this city is going to be impacted. All of us. And so I say to you, as I turn it over to you, this is some of the most educated, some of the most knowledgeable, probably more of my commissioners and deputy commissioners and chiefs live in this community. So as you asked me a question about migrants, tell me what role you played. How many of you organized to stop what they're doing to us? How many of you were part of the movement to say, we're seeing what this mayor is trying to do and they're destroying New York City? It's going to come to your neighborhoods. All of us are going to be impacted by this. I said it last year when we had 15,000. I'm telling you now, with 110,000, the city we knew we're about to lose. And we're all in this together, all of us. Staten Island is saying, send them out to Manhattan. Manhattan is saying, send them out to Queens. Queens is saying, send them out to Brooklyn. No, it's not the game we can play. Open the floor up.
So yeah, he's not very happy about it. He's not happy with the so-called illegal migrants coming in and all that. And this is a sanctuary state in quotation marks, right? Like this is like the greatest place to be for migrants or illegal migrants. And they're saying, no, we don't want you. This is a problem. We feel having these people come in here. They're going to destroy our city. They're going to ruin everybody else's lives. That's fucking fantastic, right? So we have this. Under the Biden plan, certain migrant families will be compelled to stay in Texas or possibly other border states, with their locations monitored via GPS tracking devices like ankle bracelets, according to 3 officials who were not authorized to speak publicly on the matter. These families would undergo an asylum screening process to determine their eligibility to remain in the U.S. and pursue their claims. Officials have discussed collaborating with local organizations to provide housing for these families. In the event that these families fail their initial screenings, deportation would be more straightforward since they would be in proximity to the border. Arresting migrant families in the interior of the U.S. is typically more logistically challenging due to the complexities of apprehending children and their parents. Historically, deportations of migrant families are fewer compared to those of single adults seeking asylum in the U.S. DHS continuously holds policy and operational discussions on how to leverage our authorities to ensure a fair, humane, and effective immigration process that efficiently removes those without a lawful basis to stay in the country, a Department of Homeland Security spokesperson said. I don't think I should trust any of these garbage people what they say, right? Because obviously they are 100% against the American people. They're honestly against Texans in general. And it seems like they're not going to be just against Texans, they're going to be against Arizonans or any other border state that have to suffer through this. Because, you know, a lot of the other states that are not border states and they have to deal with these illegal migrants coming through, they're the people that have to suffer. They're the people that are going to have to deal with all this massive issues that comes into their state. While the other states get to be free and happy as they were a sanctuary state and have to deal with the horrible implications, the horrible policies, and the horrible consequences of actually allowing this to happen. We're seeing what's happening in France, right? Let's have that happen. Let's have that happen in America. So he's pretty much saying all border states, most specifically allowing, right now it's focusing on Texas, but mostly all border states, you have to suffer the brunt of the damage of our policies. We don't like you, so therefore suffer for it. That's completely asinine, and it's their fault. Of course, it will also be the Democratic voters' fault for voting for such people to be allowed to put this law into place. But that's still what the case is being. You guys are essentially going to be essentially going to suffer under the Biden administration's plans here. If implemented, this plan would expand upon existing Biden administration program known as Family Expedited Removal Management, which imposes curfews and GPS monitoring on migrant families traveling to major cities like LA, San Francisco, and Washington. Administration officials had hoped that the firm program, in combination with videos and new releases highlighting deportation of families, would serve as a deterrent to additional unauthorized border crossings. However, in July, Border Patrol encountered over 60,000 families crossing the border, constituting nearly half of the total number of border crossers that month. Border Patrol has yet to release the figures for August, but the Washington Post reported last week that it exceeded 91,000, an all-time high. Yeah, that seems very, very great, by the way. Oh, also, another reason why they're doing this is so they can have these illegal migrants be allowed to vote because of what Biden wants. They're trying to put out a law that's trying to say, okay, we're going to put out a law that will allow illegal migrants to vote, and that means that will make sure that they would vote. They were hoping that they would vote for Democrats and keep these same socialist policies that they came from, and to keep these Democratic people in power. Or rather, the evil establishment in power that consisted of the communist Republicans and communist Democrats. So, yeah, this is mostly the main reason why they're doing this, so they can stay in power. They don't really care about the people or the American people. All they care about is power, and that's it. Since May, families have accounted for a significant portion of the overall increase in border crossings, despite initial expectations that President Biden's new asylum restrictions would significantly reduce these numbers. Immigrant advocates have criticized the Biden administration's treatment of migrant families, arguing that these families lack adequate access to attorneys and sufficient time to prepare their asylum cases. Robin Bernard, director of refugee advocacy at Human Rights First, expressed reservations about the Remain in Texas proposal, stating, "People should not be punished for their manner of entry to seek asylum," she said. U.S. officials have long urged migrants to enter the country through legal pathways, including scheduling appointments at a port of entry or applying for programs that allow certain migrants to come to the U.S. with a financial sponsor and after passing security checks. Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro N. Mayorkas emphasized the consequences of not using lawful entry routes, stating, "People who do not use available lawful pathways into the U.S. now face tougher consequences, including a minimum 5-year ban on re-entry and potential criminal prosecution. We have no plan to detain families," Mayorkas said in April. "As I mentioned, we will be employing alternatives to detention, including some innovations in that regard, and we will, in case-by-case basis, use enhanced alternative detention as warranted." However, the administration has refrained from reviving the Trump and Obama-era practice of detaining migrant families at the border. Yael Sacher, director for the Americas and Europe at Refugees International and a historian of U.S. immigration, noted that forcing migrant families to remain near the border hasn't been attempted in decades, stating there hasn't been an attempt to force asylum-seeking families to remain in border towns for 35 years. Yeah, because these people... the Biden administration is essentially a communist regime. That's what they are. They want everything that is communist here in this country, and it's not really a surprise. In the late 1980s, the Reagan administration compelled thousands of migrants to apply for asylum near their location, where they crossed the South Texas border and received their decisions there. Officials were explicit at the time that this policy aimed to discourage families from crossing, etc., etc. So yeah. That's pretty much what's going to happen. We have this here that the Biden policy falls upon the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals issued a temporary injunction on Wednesday, ordering Texas to take down their river buoyers near Eagle Point, Texas by September 15th. Yeah, because you want Texas to be overrun and a lot of these border states to suffer by your own stupid policies. These are people that don't want to take any accountability for themselves and the policies that they create and have other people suffer for it. I feel sorry for you border states because you don't deserve this type of stuff. And the fact of the matter is, Biden is forcing it upon you and you don't have any choice. So when you come down to the election, make sure you know who you're voting for, because Biden is definitely not going to be the one that's going to care for you or your family's well-being. He will gladly sink you guys under the bus just so he can stay in power and ruin your lives. Alright guys, that's it for the video. Like, share. As always, take care, ladies and gentlemen.